Freelancing is a common source of income for many 3D artists, and most of those 3D artists have experience in freelancing either full-time or on the side. Freelancing in any field can be tricky and certainly requires that you have skills that hopefully will allow you to provide services for the market. But does that mean it requires that you have a solid experience and some connections to be able to make money? And does that experience have to be a result of working in the industry for many years? Freelancing for beginners. Freelancing is certainly not for someone who has very basic knowledge with little to no market experience, although in most cases, beginners jump to this world with minimum level of skills, working on jobs that pay next to nothing. The thing is, as a beginner, you often start by doing something totally wrong, but as you go, you keep learning and improving until you become someone who's confident in his skills and able to finish freelancing jobs and get paid. Freelancing for professionals. Many 3D artists have been working as a freelance artist for many years, and they get to work on the best deals on freelancing sites, which is good but not good enough to satisfy their financial needs, and this is the case for a good portion of those artists. Professional freelancers can work on different projects depending on what their skill set is, and it can vary from hard surface modeling characters, doing visual effects, animation work, architectural visualization, and so on. By this point, you will have enough experience that allows you to know how to price your work, negotiate with clients, networking, and so on. And as an experienced 3D artist, you will have a little bit more control over these aspects of freelancing, which allows you to put your hands on more opportunities and charge a decent amount of money compared to beginners at the very bottom would get. Freelancing for industry experts. Working in the industry, whether it be game development, VFX, or animation, is one of the best ways to make a living as a freelance 3D artist because you will be able to know people inside the industry and have their trust after you worked with them or knew them somehow during the years you worked in the front lines. I'm not trying to discourage anyone here, but I personally think that this is what you want to do if you want to live a good life as a 3D artist. But first, you will have to push your skills to the maximum level to join and sustain a job in the industry, which allows you to know everything you need to know, in addition to having an insane advantage over the majority of freelance 3D artists in the market. Specialist versus generalist freelancers. According to statistics, most freelancers are generalists. It is possible to always remain a generalist freelancer and earn a nice amount of money. Some of the good things about being a generalist are the diverse project you will get, which means you will never grow bored. There will be a larger stream of prospects inquiring about your services. Clients don't expect you to be intimately familiar with their industry, and you will naturally discover a particular industry or market that you can later specialize in rather than forcing a decision at the beginning of your career. But on the other hand, it's harder to become known for something specific when you are a generalist, which can make marketing, selling, and branding more difficult. Some prospects will demand industry or market experience or knowledge, and finally you are more likely to attract bad clients like people who can be price conscious or time wasters. A specialist 3D artist is perceived as more knowledgeable than a generalist freelancer even when they are tasked with the same project. They might cater to a tiny portion of potential clients, like artists who are specialized in modeling creatures, robots, and so on. Generally speaking, specialists make more money. You will be able to stand out from a huge crowd of freelancers, which is one of the worst things about being in this field. Specialists are held in higher regard by clients, wanting someone experienced in their industry or field, especially with a good portfolio. The inquiries you receive will be from your ideal types of clients and will likely convert very well. When you are familiar with an industry, you spend less time researching and can, therefore, work faster and earn more as a result. But also, on the other hand, working on the same type of project weeks in and weeks out can become boring and stale if you are not in love with being a 3D artist, and you are likely to see fewer inquiries, at least in the early stages. Young versus old freelance artists. It's true that you can make a decent amount of money, but the fact that freelancing is highly competitive and unstable makes it a better option for young artists who are still figuring their lives out. I mean 3D artists who are still in their 20s because they can afford not to work when there isn't any work available. But it is not the case for someone who is in his or in her 30s because most likely they are married or they have a family to support. So as you get older, this lifestyle may not look as great as it was before. I'm not saying that as an older freelance 3D artist you are not able to do this or it is not a good thing or something like that. But I am saying that you have to change a few things moving forward to be able to sustain your lifestyle, which leads us to the next point. Part-time versus full-time freelancers. I think that whether you work as a part-time or full-time freelance 3D artist depends on a bunch of factors. One of them is the stage you are in right now in your life. Like I said before, freelancing in your 30s and beyond, especially if you have a family, is not the best idea because artists in this category need more stability in their lives unless they are doing something in high demand areas or they are industry experts that studios fight over. What I want to say is doing freelance work full-time is great, but not all the time due to the turbulence you will experience at some points. Many freelance 3D artists do it part-time in addition to have a job that they rely on to keep money coming in consistently. It does not have to be CG related, but for a lot of artists it is. You can teach 3D, for example, at a school or university, or work for a company that needs some kind of 3D artist, and of course, it does not have to be a professional studio. Freelancing on freelancers' websites. This represents the very bottom of the food chain, and it is more than likely to contain a lot of opportunities for most people who don't have experience. Generally speaking, 3D artists will find plenty of work here. Even though what you are being paid for the most part is gonna be scraps, a lot of new artists to freelancing make the assumptions that they are gonna have an easy time. And this is actually a common misconception about freelancing. Actually, any field that has a ton of competition can be hard to put your foot in the door, especially in the beginning, and especially if you don't have that kind of experience needed in the field itself, in addition to having knowledge that you cultivated by working with clients over time. The fact is, the less the client is paying, the more likely he or she is demanding. Actually, this part of freelancing needs a lot of do's and don'ts that we will talk about in another video. But generally speaking, many 3D artists who have walked the path don't recommend it. Actually, they prefer that you avoid freelancing on websites like Freelancer or Fiverr, or any website that offers low-paying freelancing jobs, especially when your experience can be considered valuable for employers. This can be true even if you live in a country where the currency exchange rate is low, because in the long run, this route of freelancing cannot be sustainable, which is one reason among many. This can work sometimes if you will find something that you could streamline or automate to make it very quick, or it is a service that is on demand. This can work because small pieces at a massive quantity can be a very good source of income that we should not underestimate. We will actually talk more about this as we dive deeper into this topic. Freelancing remotely to studios. This kind of freelancing is for the special forces of 3D artists, guys who went to war and came back. I mean those people who actually have a solid experience working in the industry. This one is actually a lot tougher than what you might think. People like to work with people they know and can see in front of them. A studio will most certainly prefer to have all the team in one place. Usually if you work with few studios and establish confidence, you could later work with them remotely, which is your best chance for remote work. That's why we said you need experience in the industry to be able to get a freelancing opportunity with studios, because they need to trust you and you will most likely need the advantage of knowing them in person or having worked with them in the past. Also, if you have very good skills, the studio might consider you since you are one of the best in it in the world. Maybe they get this once in a year type of project that you have done something very similar to, so they send it your way. But it is very challenging as there is no shortage of 3D artists locally. There are also a lot of difficulties in making sure that the work gets done on time and the software and the pipeline you are using is compatible. It is actually hard, for example, when it comes to trying to integrate a lighting or compositing artist not in the same location, only for them not to be available when the next project comes around after you have finally set up a functioning workflow, which is not a good thing for the studio. That's why they try to work with artists under the same roof. I hope you found this video entertaining and useful. If you have something to add, please leave it in the comment section below. Also, you can check some of our previous videos. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next one.